Next, we have a very, very important special representative from Columbia University, Professor Janet Wing. She is the Executive Vice President for Research and, of course, Professor of Computer Science of Columbia University. This is a particularly important university represented here because Madame Wu spent her entire great career at Columbia University. And Professor Wing will say something about her at this meeting. Thank you very much, Professor Wing.
Thank you very much. I am the Executive Vice President for Research at Columbia University. In this role, I have the overall responsibility for the university's research enterprise across all our locations in New York, including the Morningside campus where Professor Wu worked, and internationally, including our global center in Beijing. I use a slogan to capture my priorities for research at Columbia: power in partnerships, power in diversity, and power for impact. Professor Shencheng Wu exemplified all three of these priorities in her scientific career at Columbia. Power in partnerships, she was a collaborator, a true scientific partner. When she was approached by one of her colleagues, Chengdao Li, about a controversial paper he was writing with Chen-Ning Yang from Princeton, she understood the importance of testing their theory. In collaboration with the cryogenics team at the National Bureau of Standards in Washington, led by Ernest Ambler, Professor Wu was able to prove that the theory was right. She was a trailblazer for gender diversity in science. She overcame barriers to entry in academia for women and showed that women and girls can achieve anything they put their minds to. She was the first woman of many honors, first female president of the American Physical Society, first female to be honored with the National Medal of Science in Physics, first female to win the National Academies of Sciences Comstock Prize in Physics, just to name a few. And she was also a first, regardless of gender. She was the first winner of the Wolf Prize of Physics. Power for impact, she made a profound and long-lasting impact on science and inspired future generations of physicists. Her work led to Li and Yang's winning the Nobel Prize in 1957. She was an expert in beta decay and is best known for the experiment that proved the theory that the left-right symmetry law is violated by the weak interaction. It is called the Wu experiment. Her results opened up not just the possibility of telling left from right, but also of helping to explain why matter exists through the Big Bang, thus dominating our universe. Over the course of her life, Professor Wu received many awards, honorary doctorates, and much deserved recognition for her scientific contributions. Columbia University supported Professor Wu throughout her career. She joined the research staff at Columbia in 1944 as a senior scientist and began work in the Manhattan Project at the Nash Building. She was named associate professor in 1952, full professor in 1958, and the first Pupin professor of physics in 1973. Professor Wu and her husband resided in the same Claremont Avenue apartment near the Morningside Heights campus for more than 50 years. They raised a son, Vincent Yuan, who later got his bachelor's and doctorate degrees in physics from Columbia. Professor Wu is still very present in the life of physicists at Columbia. 4 framed pictures of her hang in the physics department conference room to remind future generations of physicists at Columbia about her impact. She is still highly revered at Columbia. Her colleague and Nobel Prize winner, Chengdao Li, university president at Columbia, said, C.S. Wu was one of the giants of physics. In the field of beta decay, she had no equal. William Havens, Professor Emeritus of Applied Physics and Nuclear Engineering at Columbia, said, "She was the world's distinguished women's physicist of her time." And Polikarp Kush, one of Columbia's physics Nobelists, once said, "Her experiments have been designed with great elegance and have, by virtue of their elegance, a high aesthetic quality." We at Columbia are proud and honored to have her as part of Columbia's legacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Wing, for outlining the importance of C.S. Wu in Columbia University, even to this day. Next, we have another very important university represented here, in particular for this particular event. It will be President Lü Jian. President Lü is the academician of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and perhaps in this case, more important, the president of Nanjing University. President Lü.
尊敬的各位嘉宾、女士们、先生们，大家好！非常荣幸能和大家相聚在云端，共同参加纪念吴健雄先生诞辰110周年国际学术论坛。首先，我谨代表吴健雄先生的母校南京大学，向各位嘉宾致以诚挚的问候，向主办、承办本次论坛的美国物理协会、中国物理协会和南京大学全美校友会表示衷心的感谢。2022年是吴健雄先生诞辰110周年，也正值南京大学建校120周年。在这样一个值得铭记的特殊时刻，南京大学全美校友会承办纪念吴健雄先生诞辰110周年国际学术论坛，祝贺校庆，致敬前辈，激励后学，意义深远。尤其是今天高朋满座，让我回想起吴先生在母校南京大学度过70岁和80岁寿辰的美好时光，对吴先生的人格魅力、学术贡献和科学精神也更加敬仰。在此，我与大家分享3点感想。吴健雄先生是南大与校友情感相系、发展与共的典范。吴先生在南京大学走上了科学研究的道路。他1930年以优异的成绩被保送到南京大学的前身中央大学数学系学习。1931年转入物理系，师从施世元、张玉泽等物理学家。1934年顺利毕业。1947年，吴先生在赵宗尧、施世元的推荐下，被中央大学聘任，但未成行。70年代，中美关系正常化以后，心系母校的吴先生热心支持母校发展。他和袁家騮先生多次回校讲学，受聘为南京大学荣誉教授、荣誉博士，并出资设立吴健雄、袁家騮科学讲座基金，资助一流物理学家到南京大学讲学。设立吴健雄、袁家騮奖学金，助力学生成长，为南京大学的发展做出了重要贡献，是南京大学50万校友中的杰出代表。吴健雄先生传承和丰富了南京大学的精神品格。吴先生不仅取得了卓越的科学成就，为推动物理学等相关领域的发展做出了不可磨灭的贡献，还拥有深沉的家国情怀、矢志探索的坚韧、高尚无私的精神、关爱后学的胸怀。他生动诠释了南京大学城浦雄伟、力学登行的校训精神。他的崇高精神也融入到南京大学120年的历史传承中，丰富了南京大学的精神品格，激励着全体南大人踔厉奋发，为加快创建世界一流大学而不懈奋斗。吴健雄先生致力于推动国际科研交流合作的事业和胸襟， 为我们推进全球科技治理树立了杰出榜样。当前，世界百年未有之大变局加速演进，不确定性、不稳定性明显增加。新一轮科技革命和产业变革突飞猛进，科学技术与经济社会发展加速渗透融合。世界之变、时代之变、历史之变正以前所未有的方式展开，给人类提出了必须严肃对待的挑战，也更加需要我们同心合力、和衷共济，携手迎接挑战，合作开创未来。我们要继承和发扬吴先生卓越的世界公民的视野和胸襟，聚焦人类重大需求，秉持全球视野，推动和完善全球创新网络，以高质量的科技合作助力构建人类命运共同体。最后，我想与大家分享的是，在吴健雄先生诞辰110周年的今年，在吴健雄先生的家乡苏州，南京大学苏州校区新生首批招生，他们入住的健雄书院便以吴健雄先生的名字命名，这是我们感怀传承吴先生精神的另一种方式。我的发言到此结束，祝纪念吴健雄先生诞辰110周年国际学术论坛取得圆满成功。谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, President Liu. Again, Nanjing University is a very important institution as far as Madame Wu is concerned. The next university represented is just as important to Madame Wu's lifetime, and that is Princeton University. And today we have President Christopher Eisgruber representing Princeton to say a few comments.
My name is Chris Eisgruber, and I'm the president of Princeton University. It's my pleasure to send greetings to all of you as you gather to celebrate the 110th anniversary of the birth of Dr. Shen-Cheng Wu. Dr. Wu is often known as the First Lady of Physics, but in my book, she is simply one of the greatest physicists the world has ever known. Her research expanded our knowledge of the basic building blocks of the universe, and her pioneering career blazed new paths and serves as an inspiration both for generations of women who have gone into the field of physics and for all of us who care about making sure that the sciences and other professions are open to people of talent from all backgrounds and all sectors of society. We here at Princeton are proud that Dr. Wu was the first woman to be a member of our faculty, and we are delighted that we honored her with an honorary degree at one of our graduations. I am so pleased to send greetings to you as you remember this extraordinary figure in the history of science.
Thank you very much, President Eisgruber. Yours is absolutely short and absolutely sweet. The next speaker is Eric Isaacs, president of Carnegie Institution for Science. It so happens that I'm pretty sure I met Eric when I had the opportunity of leading a delegation from Taiwan to visit the University of Chicago, and we met there. My memory is a little hazy, but looking at your face, I can recognize you. So, Eric, please.
Thank you so much, Dashong Fang. Good morning, everyone. As Dashong said, I'm Eric Isaacs. I'm president of the Carnegie Institution for Science, and I'm really deeply honored to be here to celebrate this enduring legacy of Madame Shen-Cheng Wu. So much of what we heard today has already been focused on her incredible brilliance. Madame Wu had an amazing mind, and also about her accolades and her firsts. She really was a brilliant physicist, and I would say as a physicist myself, her experiment of parity violation really stands out as probably one of the most surprising and exciting results, and to this day is used in classrooms to teach physicists how exciting physics can be. So I honor that. But there's been enough discussion about science. What I'd like really us to think about with Madame Wu is to think about and emphasize the importance of her courage, her personal courage, and her bravery. And her bravery is what really changed history. You know, it's hard for me just thinking about when she first came here from China, the fortitude it took her as a young woman, barely in her 20s at that time, to get on a boat, to cross the Pacific, and begin a new life in the United States. And once she arrived in California, as we've already heard today, she made a precipitous decision, if you can say it that way. Instead of going to Michigan, she decided to spend her time at California, at Berkeley, which was a bold choice and of course prescient in many ways. That choice really made a huge difference. And when you think about this courage and the confidence that she had as a young woman, by the way, younger than my own daughter now, it really, to tear up her plans, it really is a remarkable decision, a remarkable choice of an individual person to make, not man or woman, right? This is remarkable. So Madame Wu's courageous decision then literally changed the course of history. At Berkeley, of course, as many of you know, she not only had an advisor, Milo Segre, as Secretary Chu had mentioned, she worked with Ernest Lawrence, Robert Wilson, Robert Oppenheimer, and Luis Alvarez. And those of us who are physicists know what remarkable people those were, many other remarkable minds. But I would say that in this illustrious all-male company, she distinguished herself as one of the finest physicists, an equal amongst those equals. So right away, she was breaking out in her 20s, she was doing this. And that experience, of course, led her directly to make the decision, I guess, not to go to Michigan, but ended up at Columbia, and also to work on the Manhattan Project, which again, those are historical moments in her life. After the war, she continued to do her undaunted to make her work known and her history. And I want to just quote her granddaughter's words. I think it was also mentioned, who wrote a beautiful op-ed last year here in the Washington Post. Madame Wu's daughter said, she took on a challenge no one else in her field would tackle by seeking to demonstrate this non-conservation of parity. And that, of course, that rocked the world, that decision to go against convention. So Qiansheng Wu's courage is an inspiration and a lesson to all of us in science. And this is the main point. What I want to say is that it's easy to focus on academic brilliance. It's easy to focus on her great insight and accomplishments. But she teaches us also that it's really important to strive for intellectual and moral courage. And that was something that I think is remarkable in her history. Not only a brilliant physicist, but she had amazing courage that most of us can only aspire to. And it's also easy and really human to follow the status quo. I mean, the problem that we have in trying to break through is to follow status quo, and often to hesitate in our own vision of what can be done. And that vision, if we hesitate with our own individual vision, and when it conflicts with ideas of those around us, that can be a real detriment to society. So I think what she did to not only use her brilliant mind to solve a really important problem of non-parity conservation, she really bucked the system. And that in itself is what I think is really important to remember. As she herself once said, and I quote, Madame Wu said, it is the courage to doubt what has long been established and the incessant search for its verification and proof that pushes the wheel of science forward. So science, of course, you need to buck the system. And you see those people like Madame Wu who changed the world just because she said, you're not right? Or, that's wrong. And she really, but I think it's also a lesson for everyone, not just science, that all of us must think about bucking the system. And I think that's what she did, which to me stands out as probably her most remarkable contribution. So today that I hope all of us can be inspired, not solely by the brilliance of Qiansheng Wu, but also by the exceptional character and courage that empowered her to use her brilliance to change the world forever. Shishi.
Eric, if you have written up your speech, can you send it to us?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. The next speaker will be, next video will be from Congressman David John Thune from the great state of Maryland.
Hi, everyone. I'm Congressman David Trone from Maryland's 6th District. Thank you to the Nanjing University Alumni Association for inviting us to be part of your wonderful event. It's important for us to remember historical figures who've made life-changing contributions to our country. But unfortunately, far too often, our history books tend to leave out women of color. That's why I'm glad that I get to be here today virtually to honor Madam Wu, one of the most respected nuclear scientists in history. Madam Wu was most known for her work on the top secret Manhattan Project during World War II. As the only Chinese American to work on the project, she was a true trailblazer in the world of physics. Her work helped us develop atomic weapons and ultimately defeat the Axis powers. That's why today, on the 110th anniversary of Madam Wu's birthday, we remember her contributions to physics and to this country. As a proud member of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, I pledge to honor important AAPI historical figures. Thank you again for having me here today, and take care and stay safe.
Thank you very much, Congressman Soon. I'm glad that we're only 13 minutes behind time in our schedule today. So it's pretty good that we more or less caught up a little bit more.